William Attlee, and this is a news brief with truth. See the men on the screen. They are the ancestors of the African American, but there is a problem: their true identity. Thomas McNeely has the story.
Well, William, the African American community is deeply divided due to the tagline, African Americans ain't Africans, which can be found in numerous places on the web. Now, it should be obvious as to why it's causing a commotion, but if it escapes you, let me explain. The current American education states African Americans were brought to America as slaves from Africa, which is simply not true. They are American indigenous, not descendants of Africans. As they say, the truth is stranger than fiction. Although this fact isn't spoken of openly, it's not a secret. However, with programming such as Roots, 12 Years a Slave, The African American Story, and The Book of Negroes, is it any wonder why so many African Americans are confused? We won't address all the misleading DNA tests being provided to connect African Americans to Africa. So, the argument is, do they continue identifying as African Americans, which is a fake identity for them, or embrace being identified as indigenous Americans?
Peace, family. Today, I just want to talk about the Northeast American Indians, those of the New York/Virginia area. A lot of laws that changed the identity of the American Indian came out of that area, so it should only be right to see what those same settlers said about the American Indians. Before moving on to a couple books, we're going to look at this article from the New Netherland Institute. It says early descriptions of New Netherland. And for those of you who are unaware, New Netherland is on the east coast of the United States of America. It is difficult to imagine what the first glimpse of New Netherland was like for the 17th century European. A verdant land flowing with milk and honey, it must have reminded the ambitious settler or explorer of the agricultural abundance of the Old Testament's land of Israel. I find it funny that they worded it that way, because we know that America is the old world. We know that ancient Mesopotamia, Israel, Egypt, etc. was all over here in the Americas. We're gonna skip down a bit. It says below are several quotes culled from the pages of narratives of New Netherland from 1609 to 1664, a compilation of accounts of the newly discovered land. The parenthetical references refer to pages in this volume. The quotes are arranged into categories. Their unifying theme is, of course, early descriptions of New Netherland. When I came on shore, the swarthy natives all stood and sang in their fashion. Their clothing consists of the skins of foxes and other animals, which they dress and make the garments from skins of various sorts. We know that they're not talking about today's Native Americans. One, because they have a visual depiction of what they look like. Two, today's Native Americans aren't swarthy. Now we finna look into this book to get a physical description on how the Indians on the East Coast looked. Sailors' narratives of voyages along the New England coast from 1524 to 1624. We're going to be looking at a narrative from Giovanni da Verrazzano, and this is from 1524. Big emphasis on the date. And I also want to put a big emphasis on the fact that Giovanni is allegedly the first European to explore the East Coast of America. The complexion of these people is black, not much different from that of the Ethiopians. I could honestly just stop reading right there, because me personally, I haven't seen a Native American that color. Their hair is black and thick and not very long. It is worn tied back upon the head in the form of a little tail, which we know as a ponytail. Now we finna look at Bartholomew Gosnold's narrative and his date from 1602, and he was in Buzzards Bay, which is in Massachusetts. According to Gosnold's Wikipedia page, it says he was instrumental in the founding of the Virginia Company, which we all know was quite pivotal in the colonization of America. It says he is known to be the prime mover of the colonization of Virginia. Now he's in the Cape Cod area right now, which is also in Massachusetts. It says these people are of a tall stature, broad and grim visage, of a black, swarthy complexion, their eyebrows painted white. Now this is about a different group of Indians in Massachusetts. He says, I think they excel all the people of America, of stature much higher than we, of complexion or color, much like a dark olive, their eyebrows and hair black, which they wear long, tied up behind in knots, whereon they prick feathers of fowls in fashion of a crownet. Now from the narratives of both these explorers, most, or generally speaking I should say, the Indians which were being described had a dark complexion, unlike today's Native Americans. They're more yellow or reddish color, like Siberians or Europeans even.
Indians in Massachusetts. At this late day, yes sir, they're the last remaining remnant of the Wampanoag Nation. They're the last remaining remnant of the Wampanoag Nation. And they've survived with some admixture of white blood after most of the other Atlantic seaboard tribes have become extinct. The Wampanoags gather once a year. This time there's a wedding in the tribe. Here's the happy pair, and everything is carried out according to the ancient and complicated Indian marriage ritual. It just proves that you don't have to go out west to see Indians. But these Wampanoags don't live together as a tribe.
Speaking of the Wampanoag, let's talk about Zervia Gold Mitchell. Zervia Gold Mitchell was a Wampanoag educator, basket weaver, and direct descendant of Sachem Massasoit. In 1878, she published Indian history, biography, and genealogy pertaining to the good Sachem Massasoit of the Wampanoag tribe, and his descendants with historian Ebenezer W. Pierce, and the book included a narration of the life of Massasoit, as well as the genealogy of Massasoit's descendants. I want y'all to pay attention to her phenotype. Also, she's a direct descendant of the Sachem Massasoit. They didn't call her Afro-American Indian or Black and Native American or something like that. She's a direct descendant.